today's Black history, today's history, because we gotta be careful about the language. It's not Black history, it's history. This is the first Black woman, first Black self-made millionaire. Nope, first self-made millionaire in this country. Ah, I bet you thought it was Madam C.J. Walker. It was not. It was Annie Minerva Turnbo, and then she married. So you know her as Annie Malone. A lot of you watched that HBO debacle featuring about Madam C.J. Walker. And I don't want to take anything away from her, but here's the truth. There's no Madam C.J. Walker without Annie Malone. And Annie Malone, born to parents, of course, who were in bondage. Both her parents were born in bondage in Kentucky on a plantation. Her father actually joined the Union Army to fight for freedom and sent his family to escape on the Underground Railroad to Illinois. There's Kentucky again. Actually, her parents were born on a plantation near Abraham Lincoln's childhood home. And his parents, were too poor to own anyone. Anyway, so her father, of course, enlisted, fought for freedom. When he came home, he bought a farm. He bought a farm in Massac County, Illinois. One of the first things that her dad did as a free man was go to City Hall and apply for a marriage license. And I want to pause there for a second for all of the folk who were made to believe that folk in bondage, they were animals and they didn't really care about anything. They weren't human. They weren't worth it. This man was born in bondage, loved the woman that he was with on that plantation in Kentucky, got her to freedom, rejoined them after he fought for freedom. And the first thing he did was apply for a marriage license because he wanted to be legitimately married, because that made sense. They had 11 children. Annie was the 10th of 11. And as I was speaking about in the last hour, he bought this farm, they survived, they subsisted, wasn't a wealthy life, but they were able to take care of themselves. And in the threat of violence, in the threat of their crops being burned and their livestock being killed, but what took both her parents out was disease. We think about the pandemic that we're in now. There were it was the Spanish flu 100 years ago. And before that, there was all kinds of typhoid and all kinds of smallpox and all kinds of diseases that took people out. And unfortunately, the medical industry didn't care about formerly enslaved people. We talked yesterday about Rebecca Crumpler, and it's all tying together. Her chief job was, after slavery ended, she was one of the few doctors in the country to take care of people who were formerly enslaved because nobody wanted to touch them. So both of her parents died. Now, what she was known for as a little girl was having a knack for hair. As a matter of fact, her sister Sarah Breedlove, no, that's not Sarah Breedlove. Annie's sister Sarah had a bunch of friends, and she would do their hair. And one of the girls, and this is brought up, this is the book where I really fell in love with Annie Malone. It's called Black Fortunes. And if you can see, my copy is dog-eared, and I got a bunch of pages bent back, and I got things stuck in it because I read the hell out of this book. Black Fortunes gave me my life. There's so much in this one book. Shout out to Shamari Wills, but I really got to fall in love with Annie Malone reading the well-researched encounter, because there are even stories that said that she was born in different years. She was born August 9th, 1869. She died in 1957, May 10th. But as a little girl, she was really fascinated by hair, and she was also very sickly. So she would often go out, and this is Shamari Wills's accounting, into the backwoods near her home, and she met what we would call, I guess, a medicine woman, a woman that knew about herbs, and she would, experiment with herbs. And she was really good, Annie Turnbo, in chemistry when she was able to go to school. She was an expert in chemistry. And between the herbs and the chemistry, she developed her own hair care product. But her sister's friends would swear by her because she would help. One girl came, she had burnt her scalp with some other product, and the salve that Annie made for her at the age of 9 helped this young woman's hair grow back. But anyway, she moved to Peoria to live with her sister, her older sister, when her parents died. And while experimenting with hair and different hair care products, she developed and manufactured her own line of non-damaging hair straighteners, because everybody and their mother, I was talking about Garrett Morgan. He had a hair product to straighten hair. Some of the hair products people had would burn people's scalps. She had a natural product using oils and herbs and all kinds of things. And because of her background in chemistry, she she concocted something called the Wonderful Hair Grower. That was her product. And she sold it door to door using women to sell. So there were women who were washing clothes, who were taking care of people's children, who were doing backbreaking work, working in the fields. Annie Turnbo put them to work selling this hair care product. And she made so many women, Black women in particular, successful that they didn't have to go back on their hands and knees to scrub floors, to wash clothes, to take care of people's children. She made them independent. And one of those women, a woman who was washing clothes, she was in her 40s at the time, Sarah Breedlove Davis, better known as Madam C.J. Walker, was one of the people selling this wonderful hair grower door to door for Annie Turnbo. That's right, 1902. We're talking about 1902. She moved from St. Louis, where she was thriving, to where she and 3 employees sold their hair products door to door and just expanded her business. And Madam C.J. Walker operated the first in St. Louis for Annie Malone. Then later, Annie sent her out to Denver, where she and C.J. Walker stole her product and they started selling it, because C.J. Walker, her husband, Madam C.J. Walker, C.J. Walker, the husband, was a door-to-door salesman. And he's like, let's take this product even further. But Annie Malone was first. 1918, she established a college called Poro College, a cosmetology school and center, and had a building and a manufacturing plant and a retail store where her products were sold, business offices. She had a 500-seat auditorium, dining and meeting rooms, a roof garden, dormitory, gymnasium, bakery, chapel. It served the entire community. It was a center for religious and social functions as well. Annie Malone did that. That's amazing. I just want to pause there for a second. Just take a breath. 1920s, she became a multimillionaire. 1924, according to the income tax records, this is how we know, she paid nearly $40,000 in income. That's a lot. That reportedly was the highest income tax paid in the whole entire state of Missouri. Let that settle in for a second. Black woman, 1920s, 1924. She lived modestly. She gave thousands of dollars to the local YMCA and Howard University College of Medicine in Washington, D.C. She was a big donor. Madam C.J. Walker, though, is the one we know. And I say this, and I bring up Annie Malone. Annie Minerva Turnbo Malone married a man named Malone who tried to take, he did actually take half her money, sued her. She was sued several times and had to give up a lot of her wealth, 1927. And I think she died not as wealthy as she should have been as a result of that. But I want to just do a tale of two cities. You know, Annie Malone, who was actually the woman that had the formula, who did the work, who was the genius behind the product to grow hair naturally, to grow hair using herbs and oils, was up against a great marketer in Madam C.J. Walker. So it was marketing versus, they were both very wealthy, both very successful. And I don't want to take anything away from Sarah Breedlove, because she is to be celebrated as well, because two things can be true and there's enough to go around. But that history has bestowed upon Sarah Breedlove and Madam C.J. Walker all of the flowers, and pretty much forgotten Annie Malone, for whom none of the flowers would even exist. I think it's the travesty of the history system in which we live under. So I'm here to allow us to remember who was and tell the stories and connect the dots. But I also will direct you to Black Fortunes if you want to get the full story, because these are just breadcrumbs. And that is our change maker for today, Thrive Thursday.